Never judge a book by its cover. Some people will look at this man. Let's go back to maybe, and we got a lot to unpack, as people say, in this video, y'all. A whole lot to unpack. You know my channel, I don't pull any punches. I'm gonna tell it like it is, just like it is. You don't believe me? Watch this video, okay? You look at this guy maybe in 2008, you say, hey, that's the guy that has The Apprentice, the Celebrity Apprentice. It's Donald Trump. Cool guy. But there are people, even back then, telling people that Donald Trump was the evil, wicked man. The Antichrist. People were saying it for years. All right. We're gonna get into this video, okay, with a woman named Savannah Guthrie. All right. And I'm gonna pause to show you something that she unveils here. Okay, let's go.
People in from Syria, 500% more coming into this country, pouring into this country, and I'm saying we cannot take any more people from Syria right now. We can't do it. We can't even think about it.
You were tweeting quite a bit yesterday, and among your condolences to the victims and the family members of this shooting, you also stopped to tweet that you appreciated the congratulations you had received for your...
So she said you tweeted that you appreciate the congratulations that you received. As it says here, appreciate the congrats for being right. All right. So what is he doing? He's drawing attention to the fact that he was right, without a doubt. Appreciate the congrats for being right on radical Islamic terrorism. I don't want congrats. I want toughness and vigilance. We must be smart.
On terrorism, and later you issued a longer statement. It said, I said this was going to happen, basically congratulating yourself for predicting another terrorist attack. To a lot of people, that struck them as unseemly, that at this moment that 49 people lay dead, you were focused on yourself and giving yourself congratulations. What do you say about that?
It's totally false, because you didn't read the second part of the tweet. I said, well, I appreciate, because I've been receiving tens of thousands.
So right here, the jousting begins. She says, Mr. President, at a time like that, you were bringing attention to yourself without a doubt. Okay, he could have just said, well, yeah, maybe I could have worded it differently. All right. She's right in what she's saying here. She's not being, I know for some people that are Trump supporters, you may say, oh, no, you guys are just trying to twist it. No, she's not twisted. She's saying you were bringing attention to yourself. Why would you do that? Oh, you guys have been hypercritical. No, it's not hypercriticism at all. She said, why are you tweeting about yourself, especially at a time like this? Because Trump tweets about himself all the time. All right. So there's no way you can be a reporter and continue to blast Trump on him talking about himself because he does it so much. You wouldn't be able to be a reporter and do that. Okay. But she's saying at a time like this, you understand what I'm saying? It's very inappropriate to be doing that.
Of tweets. Literally tweets and calls and letters and everything, because I've been...
Let's take it back. To be fair to Donald Trump, the Antichrist, okay? Now this is how he responds.
It's totally false, because you didn't read the second part of the tweet. I said, well, I appreciate, because I've been receiving tens of thousands of tweets, literally tweets and calls and letters and everything, because I've been the one that predicted it, and I'm the one that said what you should be doing, and I don't want the credit. And I said in there, well, I appreciate your nice statements.
But at the same time, you're calling attention to the credit you received.
I want you to be strong. What I said is, I want you to be strong. I want you to be vigilant.
She's 100% right. He said, I don't want the credit. She said, but at the same time, you're telling people to look at you and give you credit. All right. It's like a guy walking past the house that was on fire. All right. And he says, and people, it's on news and people are running out of the house. The kids are running out of the house and they've lost everything. And they're standing outside with a white sheet over them. And like, man, we just made it. And then I walk by. Okay, news says, sir, you have anything to say? I said, yeah, I tried to tell people that, it was going to, the building was going to burst into flames. Nobody listened to me. I told them today, I said, look, it's going to burst into flames. In the day, look, I tried to tell them, and I tried to tell them, hey, no one listens to me, but now, I was just walking down the street and somebody said, hey, man, you tried to tell me. I said, hey, man, don't congratulate me, even though I tried to tell them, And, in the day, I tried to tell them. But the other thing they say about these people that lost their place, well, look, I tried to tell them. People look at that and say, wow, brother. It's all about you. Okay, we get it. You tried to tell him. All right. And this is the mindset of Donald Trump. His mind is always on him. You also have to understand about Donald Trump, okay, the Antichrist. You have to understand about him that what he says out of his mouth is like 1% or what's really inside of him. Okay, as I said in my other video, if you look over the years, you see Donald Trump blasting women. All right, if you look at some of his, especially his last time being president, how he had those interviews where I think he told one woman to shut up, who was not interviewing him. I'm sorry, she was a reporter in a press. She was at a presser. Okay, she was basically there. It was a bunch of reporters, and she said something. And Trump was like, "Listen, shut up." You know what I mean? He's had people banned from being able to be in the press who was just asking basic questions. All right, because now mind you, in the Epstein files and different things that you look at regarding Trump that are like, behind the scenes type stuff, you see that Donald Trump has blasted women, has smacked. And one thing I think we read in my last video, he actually smacked the woman who she said, "Could you please at least use a protection?" As Donald Trump was raping her. All right, this is what the Epstein files say. And Donald Trump smacked the woman with an open palm and said, he said something like, "If you get pregnant, just get an abortion." That's literally what this man was saying in the Epstein files. And I believe it's literally what this man really said. Okay. I saw a guy online, he made a great point. He said, Donald Trump keeps on saying, Epstein files are so small, it doesn't really matter what you guys are talking about. It's nothing really serious. And he said, and I'm not really in there like that. He keeps on saying over and over again, I'm not in there like that, okay? It's nothing serious regarding Trump, all right? But the reality is that, and this guy made a great point, he said Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. He's mentioned in the Epstein files more than Jesus Christ is mentioned in the Bible. I said, wow. He's mentioned over 30,000 times. Donald Trump's name comes up over 30,000 times. All right. I wonder why that is. And I personally believe that if you go through all the Epstein files, you'll find Donald Trump's name probably comes up more than anybody else's name outside of Epstein himself. All right. I wonder why. Because Donald Trump was Epstein's best friend. That's why. Who was Jeffrey? Before I press play with it, we can go to a lot of stuff in this video, okay? I got to say this real fast. You think about it. Who was Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein was basically the guy who you would go to if you wanted to have illicit stuff going on around you. If you wanted to, and not on a PD level, on a whole other level. Jeffrey Epstein was the hookup or the connect, like a drug dealer has a connect to get whatever they're getting, the weight, whatever. Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not going to say it was. I believe he's still alive. Okay, Jeffrey Epstein is the connect. All right, for men and women to get kidnapped teens, all right, children and adults, to rape them, to have sex with them over and over, do all kind of stuff, even to kill them. That's who Jeffrey Epstein was. That's why Jeffrey Epstein was rich. All right, that's why this man was rich, because he was the guy doing all of these illicit things. And as you see in the files, and a lot of people knew about the guy, and a lot of these people who are part of, the cult of bail and all kind of stuff, which I'm not going to in this video like that. People that are PDF files, all of those folks, they knew they had to go to Jeffrey Epstein. So once again, the jousting is going on here. Savannah, and this is an old interview, okay? Savannah basically telling Trump, look, this is what you're doing. And this is how he's responding.
And I want you to be smart. I don't want the credit.
But
I don't want people to tweet that.
But by the very nature of stopping and saying, but you did stop and say, oh, I acknowledge and collect your thanks. And then you later say in this statement, I predicted this, which in fairness, literally everyone predicts that there will be another terrorist attack. There's no one who doesn't recognize that that's the world we live in.
No, because he certainly doesn't do much about it in terms of intelligence, in terms of.
But why are you giving yourself credit for predicting something that everyone knows will happen, sadly?
Oh, I don't know that everyone knows. I'm not sure that the president knows, if you want.
So this is Donald Trump. He's a presidential candidate. All right. This is like a 7-year-old video. All right, Donald Trump is here, acting a fool. Let's go into modern day.
Savannah Guthrie's mom missing in Arizona.
Let's say this back really quickly. I want to make sure you guys can hear this.
Have you been briefed on Savannah Guthrie's mom missing in Arizona?
I think it's terrible.
Would you commit to more federal agents, like helping out on the search?
Sure, I would. I'm going to call her later on. I think it's a terrible thing. I always got along very good with Savannah.
Now, some people may say, hey, Savannah's mom going missing is a coincidence. I don't think so. Once again, when you look at Donald Trump and what he says out of his mouth and the character that he presents, there are two different things from reality. Donald Trump, the guy who you see, all right here, and who he really is, when you understand that he's the Antichrist, there are two different people. They're the same, but they're also two different people. They're the same as one Trump, but the person that he presents is not at all who he really is. Now, who is Donald Trump? He's a murderer, number one. He's a demonic man, okay? He's a man who gets power from Satan himself. As I've shown in my videos, how you oftentimes see Donald Trump with his fingers in the upside down triangle whenever he has an important interview. When you see him, or not interview only, but what's the word I'm trying to say here? Meeting, all right? Like when he met Obama or anyone who has any kind of power or world leaders. Don't believe me? Watch when the interview first starts or the meeting first starts. Watch Donald Trump's hands. They will always be facing down between his legs in an upside down triangle shape. That's to enchant the devil. That's a Masonic demonic gesture. And oftentimes he will like kind of like flash his hands, kind of like take him out of the triangle, put him back, take him out, put him back. It doesn't often. It's a way of saying like, I need your help, I need your help, I need your help, I need your help. Okay. Also, it's a way of saying, I am a Mason to this degree. I'm a Mason to this degree. Respect me. It's both. All right. Because Masons will do that gesture to show to another Mason, look, I'm in this position. I may be overused, so on and so forth. Okay. But the reason why I'm saying is because this woman's mom is missing. Do I believe that Trump has something to do with it? Absolutely, I do. And you should too, in my opinion, for sure. You have to understand that Donald Trump, once again, he's not a nice guy. He's a super gangster. Okay, and I'm not saying that to try to be hyperbolic. I'm not saying that to try to hype him up. He really is a super gangster. This man has like 30-something felonies, but he's a president of the United States. Okay, he just lost like 2 years ago a case where he raped a woman. All right, and was sued for over $100 million and he lost. All right. And these Epstein files, they're packed with women saying Donald Trump raped me. It's packed with women saying that. Donald Trump, out of his own mouth, said that when you're rich, you can grab a woman by the vagina, and when you're rich, it lets you do it. So it's not like it's out of the realm of reason for us to say that he actually did this stuff. Yes, he did. That's who this man actually is. Now, is he apologetic about it? No. But you guys think he's a Christian. He's the farthest thing from a Christian, or the farthest thing. That's why the Bible calls him the Antichrist. Jesus Christ never boasted by himself, but Donald Trump always boasted. Remember, Jesus Christ said in the Bible, he said he only talks about the Father. Okay, he said, I don't bring attention to myself. Then in the word, he said, I don't bring attention to myself, but I only talk about what the Father is doing. When you look at me, you look at the Father. Donald Trump is the exact opposite. That's why it's called the Antichrist. Okay, and then he always brings attention to himself. That's why the Bible in the book of Daniel says that when Daniel saw the little horn, which is a picture mystery of Donald Trump's actual name, because his last name is Trump, all right, as to tell you, the person that will understand a biblical mystery, that a horn back in those days was also a trumpet. That's why it says he saw a little horn, and the horn had eyes and a mouth and it could speak. It was it was God giving you a picture, a mystery, saying, look at this. This horn has eyes, has a mouth that can speak. And the Bible says also in the book of Daniel, at the same time, it says Daniel was told to hide the things in the book until the time of the end. And as I said many times on this channel, most people will never understand what that part in Daniel 7 meant. I believe it's Daniel 7, okay? What that meant when it said that he saw a bunch of horns, but one of the horns had a mouth and it was boasting and had eyes like a man. But yet none of the other ones did. And I said, that's because only when Donald Trump came could you understand, oh, it's talking about his actual name. Okay, it's God saying, it's a finger in the Bible pointing to Trump. It's a hand in the Bible. Just like, remember in the Bible where that certain king, he saw, actually in the book of Daniel, where the king saw a hand writing on the wall, and the hand wouldn't go away, and it terrified him to the point where the guy got all of the color of the guy's face disappeared. All right. So in the same way, there's another hand pointing in the book of Daniel, and that hand is pointing to Donald Trump. Okay, so understanding these things, let's take it back. You know the man is the Antichrist. Okay, if we understand about that, if you don't, I'm gonna show you guys two things in this video to help you understand it if you never heard that before. Okay, but anyway, knowing that, you see this woman has been one of Donald Trump's biggest critics over the years. You see, this is The interview I just showed you was 7 years ago. All right. Over the years, she has been very critical of Donald Trump. All right. And now, at a time like this, where these Epstein files are out, for some odd reason, her mom goes missing. What a coinky dink. What a coincidence. Once again, he's just a nice guy. He had nothing to do with that. No, he's a super gangster. He's a super gangster. He is doing these things. He is paying people off behind the scenes. And then he sits behind that desk and you look at him and you say, wow, he had nothing to do with it. He's just, he has the best cover, doesn't he? Old white guy. Nothing against white people, okay? White friends, nothing against white people. But I have to say this because his skin color has something to do with this. Because a lot of people in the United States of America, they think if you're white, all right, then you are right. They think that a lot of people, for example, they see white as, and this is all across the world, okay? They see white as being closer to God or white skin as being more angelic. A lot of times when you see, don't believe, when you ever see pictures of angels, are they ever black? Oh, usually only in black circles. Usually they're white all across the world. Think about last time you seen a Chinese, an angel looking Chinese, okay? Or any other race besides white. Why? Because people think that that angels are white people, and that white people are inherently more angelic and more godly just by their skin color alone, which is the truth. It's just a fact. I'm just telling you the truth. It's not my opinion. It's just the truth. Okay? Donald Trump, when he sits there, he says, look, and he looks all innocent. He says, look, I'm just a white guy. I'm just an old white guy like your grandfather. All right? He talks in a smooth voice, just like what the Bible says when it says that his voice will go down like oil. Okay, and he talks with his real slick voice. That's how Donald Trump talks. So no matter what's going on, he's, well, you know, it doesn't matter what the Epstein files say. They always is very, very calm, as if to tell you, the person who's saying, look, you raped all these people. Why did you do that, Mr. President? As described in the Epstein files, as described by the woman who sued you for rape, but you lost, and all other people that have said it for years. Okay, and Donald Trump will say, listen, don't worry about it, as if to say, look, you're being hyper, and you're on 100, bring it down to 20. It's not that necessary. I'm innocent. Okay, this is what happens when you're rich. No, this is what happens when you're a rapist and the Antichrist. He's done everything, but he uses that cover of, look, I'm just a nice white old grandfather type guy. I didn't really do none of that stuff. But if you look at the crimes, this man, it's not just that he's rich. He just keeps falling into these situations. Okay, President Barack Obama was not rich like Donald Trump. But he did have some money, and a lot of the other presidents did also. But did any of them have 30 felonies? No. But he does. Did any of them have rape cases against them and lost? No, none of them did. He's the only president, I think, in history has ever had a rape allegation brought against him in all history and lost. Okay? Maybe even all that even had a rape allegation, period. Okay? And he lost. He didn't lose because he just wanted to get the woman out of his hair. He lost because he's guilty. That's why he's a rapist. He's a demonic man. This woman's mom is missing. I would not put it past him. I believe, okay, that this man has something to do with it. He made on the phone, made a call, and said, look, I don't want her to be talking about me. Get rid of her mom, just like a gangster. Okay, just like the guy, if you look at Donald Trump's history, I can't think of the guy's name right now. I can't think of the guy's name right now, okay? But there's a certain guy, who Donald Trump used to hang with. I can't remember the guy's last name. I'm not going to look it up right now. But basically, this is a guy who used to be a gangster in, I believe, New York City. And Donald Trump used to follow the guy all the time. All right. And he picked up this man's ways. He was a real gangster, a real guy that people that I believe was arrested like a bunch of times, a real criminal. Okay. And Donald Trump used to hang with this guy all the time. All right. These are the type of people that when you do something they don't like, pick the phone up, have a phone call made, and next thing you know, your wife is dead or you're dead. All right. Savannah Guthrie is one of his biggest critics. Also, her mom is missing. Also, I gotta say this real quick before we continue. It's really true. If you go through the years, all right, of people that have been criticizing Donald Trump, a lot of them folks have died mysteriously. All right. You think about somebody, I was going to go through and even say, oh, these people were old. So at the end of the day, a lot of people passed away and died, or something happened to them, people that criticize Donald Trump. Especially at times where you would need them. Somebody like Paul Mooney, a man who was in perfect health. Comedian Paul Mooney criticized Trump, okay, on his comedy specials, criticized Trump to the hilt. Paul Mooney's dead. All right. Another comedian, he was a little older. All right, Dick Gregory, who made the allegation that there's actually two Donald Trumps, which I personally believe that he has some type of body double, okay, or he has some type of twin. I don't know what it is, okay, but he has some type of And I'll say is also, though I'm not promoting the zodiac, but Donald Trump, I believe, is a Gemini. Okay, which is to say like a twin. All right, and he's born in the month to be a Gemini. All right, and a lot of people have said Donald Trump. There are two Donald Trumps. Dick Gregory said, when you look at Trump, you have to understand there are actually two Trumps. All right, don't believe me? Look at that video. I'm not going to pull it up, but I've spoke about it before in his channel. I spoke about it before, where how he said, look, there's actually two Trumps. He said the Trump that has a blue tie is actually like a body double or somebody else. Okay. And then he said it looks just like Trump. You would never know that. You mean some of you guys may look at it and say that's not true. I want you to understand. My opinion actually is true. All right. I think it's like I don't know. I can't say. I don't know how, but either he has a twin that we never knew about, or something else, which I won't talk about. But either way, in my opinion, there's definitely two Donald Trumps. You can tell because like Dick Gregory, he said whenever Trump basically said, look, whenever Trump has to do something he doesn't want to do, you will always notice he has a blue tie on. Okay, so if he's at church with Christians or something like that, he has a blue tie on. All right. If he has to meet with somebody about, like for example, if you remember when he was I believe deposed for relations, I believe, with Epstein years ago. Okay, all through those interviews, those taped interviews, he has a blue tie on every single time. You may say, oh well, that was just a coincidence. I want you to understand, it's not a coincidence. I've studied this stuff. Trust me. If you go online and look at all the times when he has a blue tie on, it's always when he has to do something that is very undesirable. If he's at a funeral, for example, or a foreign president, whatever, he has a blue tie on. But whenever Donald Trump has to do something that he will want to do, okay, or whenever he gets a great opportunity to boast, then you'll see him with a red tie on, okay? Also, another man, I can't believe the guy's name, the black guy who used to be over HUD, okay? The doctor, I forget the guy's name in a moment. But anyway, he also said there's two Trumps. He literally said, yeah, there's two Trumps. All right, he was always just joking. No, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying to say that when you think about Trump, there's a lot of odd things that go on around him, okay? A lot of people who have passed away. A lot of folks who passed away who have criticized Trump. Am I saying Trump killed them? No, I'm not saying he killed all of them. I don't believe that. He could have. He could have given them diseases, all right? I personally believe what it really is that because Donald Trump is the anti-Messiah, he's the Antichrist, and there's demonic power surrounding him, there are demons and there are things that the devil unleashes to attack his critics. You understand what I'm saying? So in that way, because he's essentially like a top level Satanist and a Luciferian, all right, that's the reason why a lot of his enemies, they always seem to have bad things happening to them. It's not God. People say, oh, this God's striking his enemies. No, it's the devil doing that stuff, okay? Let's continue here.
Very unusual situation, but we're going to find out. Yeah, what do you want?
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I didn't. I have a lot of things I'm doing, and a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned two names. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
They thought they released too much. I heard that, and you tell me something else. No.
That's a lie. Nobody said that they released too much. How could you guys release too much when you didn't even release all the files that you were called to release, which was all the files? The White House literally said that there are 3 million files, 3 or 6 million files they just are not going to release. And the files that they release are heavily redacted, they're heavily blacked out. And if all of that's blacked out, it's still terrible. So what he's saying is an absolute lie. He's a liar. But he's sitting there, like I said, looking like this the old nice grandfather, just listening to what she's saying, just as calm as could be. Sorry if the video paused, or I think I hit the wrong button there. Let's go.
Entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
They thought they released too much. I heard that, and you tell me something else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Really, now that nothing.
No, I think it's time you guys stop talking about this stuff. I'm a rapist. I'm a murderer. Please, I've had bodies buried. All right, under the Trump golf course. You know what I mean? I've done all kind of stuff. I've raped plenty of women. I've probably impregnated women and all. I've done all kinds of stuff. Oh, can you just stop talking about it? I'm the president now. I have all the power. You idiots elected me twice. All right, even though I had an insurrection and 5 people were killed, you still elected me anyway. Are you elected the Antichrist? Can we just stop? At the end of the day, you can't stop me. You cannot stop me. I even talked about how I'm gonna run for a third time, and you guys are just treating me like I'm just the comments, just the nicest guy. You know, at the end of the day, you don't see who I really am. And at this point, it doesn't even really. It's like he's basically, look, I won, y'all. He's just like, look, I won. Just stop it, all right? Please, just stop it. It's nothing you can do.
Came out about me, other than it was a else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Really, now that nothing came out about me, other than it was.
Mind you, he's in the files over 30,000 times, based on what they say. They say from people who have tallied up his name in the Epstein files. Okay, he's in Epstein files. He's mentioned in Epstein files more times than Jesus is mentioned in the Bible. But he says nothing has come out about me, which is an absolute lie. My past few videos, the people online have shown how the Epstein files have said that Donald Trump used to have a thing called calendar girls, where he would actually put his hand inside of children's private parts and measure them. That's what it says. So when he says nothing came out about me, that's a lie. Oh, maybe Donald Trump doesn't know that. No, he knows that. That's why the files were so heavily redacted. He knows all about that. He didn't want you to see that.
A conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people
like
who feel like they haven't gotten
healthcare,
justice, Mr. President?
something that people care about. What did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten
justice? You are
justice?
the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young.
Now he's trying to get her fired. Okay, I'll be honest with you. People are not saying this. He wants to get her fired. You say, oh no, he's trying to make me. No, he's trying to get her fired. All right. That's why, and he's done this many, many times. That's why he says CNN in the ratings. He's trying to say essentially, you're hurting the ratings. Y'all shall fire her. Don't believe that Donald Trump likes getting people fired the way he do Jimmy Kimmel. He had Jimmy Kimmel fired. All right. He had the man temporarily fired. The woman's talking about the Epstein files. Donald Trump says, stop talking about it. I want to get you fired. So when they say Donald Trump raped the woman, all right, and then when she said, can you please at least put protection on? And he said, and he smacked her with an open hand and then said, if you have a baby, get an abortion. I believe that 100% because this is the type of man who he really is. Even though he seems to be so calm, look how he quickly changes and becomes more infuriated. But he can become infuriated without cursing. He become infuriated but look calm at the same time, okay? Because he's a master of intrigue, as the Bible says. He's a master of deception also. He's a master of, and this is more so deception than intrigue. Though you could pull intrigue in it also because of the fact that he can intrigue you, listen to what he's saying, even though what he's doing is insane. How he's reacting to her to try to get her fired is insane. But it's intriguing to see, wow, look how he's doing this. But he's a master of deception more than anything else. He's deceiving you by making you think, oh man, he's just a calm person. But he's going right now off the deep end, but he seems so calm. He can do both at the same time. Let's go back a little bit to show you this so we can see his transition. Look right now, right here we can see, looks just to be kind of calm. But internally, he's burning up. He's burning up because this woman who Donald Trump sees as being a nobody, we know that because Donald Trump will rape a woman. So if he will rape a woman, and remember, he's just a man who has been convicted of rape. Okay, a lot of you Christians are giving passes. If I brought up any other person on the face of the earth who was convicted of rape, y'all say he's a rapist, he shouldn't be around children. Donald Trump was also convicted of rape, and y'all say, oh, no, he's innocent. Really? The same man who was online saying you grab a woman by the vagina. The same man who was online saying that he loves having these pageants so he can go in there and see women undressed and say, look, I'm just inspecting the place, which he said on Howard Stern. That same man, he has more audio on him making him seem to be a racist than actual rapist. Okay, this is the truth. This is a fact. Let's continue.
Care about. What did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings.
See how I have to say it. See how he says it? He says, you are so bad. You're the worst reporter. He's trying to say fire her. She's so, number one, bad. And he called her the worst reporter or the worst reporter of all, essentially. Okay, you're the worst reporter. These are words to get somebody fired. But he's doing it such a casual way. Just you're just so bad. Once again, like I said, who the character that you see of him is not who he really, really is. This is why, now if you understand that, when you understand the point, that point is made firm in your mind that the character that you see is not who he really is, you can understand that who he really is the man that we see described in Epstein files, and actually more than that, because the Epstein files are just things that people were actually able to talk about one instance of him doing this or one instance of him doing that. Okay, it's even worse than the Epstein files of who he really is. Okay, I want you to understand this because I want you guys to see how he talks casually about. He talks how can I say this? I don't want to say casually. I'll say he talks softly. That's a better word. He talks softly. Okay, at all times. His voice is always soft, just like the Bible says. Okay, his words seem to be as smooth. The Bible says his words are as smooth as oil, and that's the exact manner of Donald Trump's speech. Even when he's calling for somebody to be fired and calling them the worst at their job, and saying that their job, which is a media job, that her job, the company that she works for, is going to suffer because in the ratings, which is all that matters when it comes to media and CNN, is the ratings in the day, because that's where the money comes from to support the whole entire network. He's saying the ratings are going to suffer because of her. So he's saying in a variety of ways, fire her. All right, which is what he's known for, saying you're fired, because he's a dragon. And once again, it's another analogy because he's a dragon. All right, that the Bible also talks about in that way. That's why he's always say you're fired. It's like a joke. It's a picture joke. When he says he's always say you're fired. It's a picture joke to the Bible. The person I know he's Antichrist wouldn't understand it. Let's continue though.
It's because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
I'm asking you about survivors.
You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth.
See what I mean? See how he now goes into the grandfather type? You know why I've never seen you smile, baby. And you want to know why? Because you know you're not telling the truth. But she is telling the truth. Mind you, you know what? Let's go back. The allegation that Donald Trump has, because I got time today, is you're not telling the truth. Let's go back. Let's see if she's lying here.
And you're very dishonest. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
They thought they released too much. I heard.
Okay, so all she said was a lot of women who are in the files felt that they were unhappy with it, and they believed that it was heavily redacted. They were unhappy, number one, because it's heavily redacted when it comes to people who actually raped them. They're also unhappy because their names are unveiled. The people that have raped them, their names are not unveiled. That's also a reason why they're upset. That's a fact. Look it up if you don't believe it. Well, especially the last dump where they literally have these women's names right there in the files. Okay, and they're supposed to be protected to the point where one of the women's, a few of the women's, the woman who was over a few women, I should say, as their lawyer, she basically said, look, they're like, almost scared for their life because they're like, look, why is my name unveiled here? Why did the White House put it out like that? And the reason why they put it out like that was because the White House is ruled by Donald Trump, and Donald Trump hates those women. That's why they put their names all like that. But you know whose names are not put out? The men who are rapists. Their names are not put out, okay? But I have to say this, that you see what the lady just said. She said, look, they're just unhappy with that, okay? She wasn't even trying to attack Trump. She just said, look, they're unhappy with the redactions, you know what I mean? And then she said, don't you think that the White House could have been more transparent? She's just asking the question. She's not lying at all. There's nothing that she could have even said right there to even be a lie. But Donald Trump, he responds with a lie when he says people said that we were too transparent. No one has ever said that from CNN to Fox News. No one has said you've been too transparent. Okay. Now getting back to the Antichrist side of Donald Trump, and I said this before on my channel, but I'm gonna say it again. The world. Okay, the insiders, I'll say, all right, those who are part of these secret societies and these groups at the highest level, they know that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Let's look at this movie here. We're not going to look at the movie. We're going to look at this picture right here on Google, all right, that describes the main character of the movie, The Omen. And now this man's name in Omen, as you can see, the guy at the bottom right, that's him. He was an adult in the movie. In the first movie, The Omen is you'll know what it is a trilogy, all right? 3 different movies. In the first movie, the main character named Damien Thorne, who is supposed to grow up to be the Antichrist, okay? He is a child. In the other movies, he gets older, all right? In the first movie, he's just a child. The movie is called The Omen. All right. And I said this before my channel, I'll say it again. It's called the omen because it's trying to explain to the world this is actually what's going to happen to a degree. Now, the first way you can tell Donald Trump is Antichrist, even from the world, is when you look at this movie, look at the Antichrist's name. His name is Damien Thorne. His initials are DT. Donald Trump's initials are DT. Damien has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters in his name. All right. Donald also has 6 letters in his name. Donald. Okay. Damien Thorne's last name starts with a T and has Thorn. 5 letters for his last name. Donald Trump has, his last name is Trump, okay? And that last name starts with a T. And it also has 5 letters. Trump. You may say, that's just a coincidence, buddy. No, I want you to understand it's not a coincidence. It's intentional. Now, this movie came out in the 70s, I believe, but these people knew even back then. Donald Trump was alive back then, too, also, but he was not the president, all right? But people back then, even then they knew who Donald Trump actually was, especially people who were in satanic circles, all right? You mean to tell me that a movie was actually made telling us about the Antichrist and it was actually real to a degree? Yes, yes, and yes. All right, let's keep on reading here. You may need to zoom in if you watch this on your phone, okay? Damien Thorne is the main antagonist in the Omen horror franchise, portrayed as the Antichrist and the son of the devil destined to bring about the apocalypse. Key characteristics: identity, the Antichrist, son of Satan. Goal: to fulfill his destiny of causing the apocalypse. All right. Look at this one. Powers: uses satanic powers, often manifesting in subtle ways as a child. All right. Donald Trump uses his demonic powers also in subtle ways to attack and to lie. Now I'm going to show you guys another way you can tell that the world knows that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. But many of us still don't understand it. Some of you guys may watch this channel or watch other people's channels and be like, you know, I think he may be Antichrist. No, it's not that he may be Antichrist. He obviously is the Antichrist. And that's a fact that you have to understand. It helps you also know what time it is in regards to Bible prophecy, so on and so forth, okay? Look at this thing. It's called the Illuminati card game, all right? Now, I typed in here, when did the Illuminati card game first come out? The original Illuminati card game, designed by Steve Jackson, was first released in 82. It later won. Okay, so let's go down. Then it says here, with the limited edition appearing in 94. All right. So we have here, and then it says, and it limited in 95. So we have 82, 94, and 95. These are the years when this Illuminati card game, all right, was released. All right. 82, 94, and 95. But when was President Donald Trump made the president? I believe it was in 2016. All right. Why am I saying that? Because when we look here on eBay, we can see someone's actually selling a card from the Illuminati card game. All right. And this card is enough is enough. Also, that word enough is enough is very, very important. I'm gonna go into that in a second also. But look here. Whose faces that look similar to? All right. Look similar to Donald Trump. All right. And what does it say here? At any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. All right. I think that's very, very odd that this card would say that. So if you don't believe that that's supposed to be Donald Trump, if you don't, for some reason, don't think that that looks like Donald Trump, even though caption under is telling you that he's the president, because it says at any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day, which is exactly how Donald Trump also acts. All right. Now, mind you, this game came out in 94, 95. I believe it was 80s, 94, 95. All right. So you can't say it's just a coincidence when there's a picture of a man that looks like Donald Trump. All right. You have to say it, and then you don't believe me? Watch this. This is a picture of Donald Trump mad with his mouth open. Okay. A picture of Donald Trump mad with his mouth open. A picture of Donald Trump mad with his mouth open. A picture of Donald Trump mad with his mouth open. A picture of Donald Trump mad with his mouth open. At any time, in any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. Okay. from the Illuminati card game. All right. As you can see, if I swipe left, it even shows right there. It says Illuminati, New World Order. All right. It says, if you can read that, it says Illuminati, New World Order. All right. Now, as we look here in the Bible, okay, and if you look at this in your phone, you may need to zoom in. As we look in the Bible, now this word, it says the little horn. It's a caption that the Bible is putting, that this version of the Bible, which is New American Standard, is putting over the Bible. It does not say the little horn in that as a caption, but it's something that's added on there, okay, in the actual scriptures. I was going to say that, but it's talking about the little horn the Bible is talking about here, okay. Now, look at what it says there. It says, out of one of them, now this instance in the Bible here, in the book of Daniel, this is Daniel chapter 8, it's talking about the Antichrist specifically here. Okay, look what it says here. Out of one of them came forth a rather small horn, which grew exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, and toward the beautiful land. It grew up to the host of heaven and caused some of the hosts and some of the stars to fall to the earth, and it trampled them down. Okay, it even magnified itself to be equal with the commander of the host. Okay, so here it says it magnified itself to be equal with the commander, which is the Lord. Okay, because Donald Trump, we just saw earlier in this video, he was magnifying himself. All right, he's trying to congratulate himself. Okay. Now, some people may say, "Oh, it's not talking about the Antichrist; it's talking about the devil, or whoever." No, it's not, because it says right after that, it says, "On account of transgression, the host will be given over to the horn." Now, the host, I believe, it's talking about the people of God here. Okay, on account of transgression, the host will be given over to the little horn, along with the regular sacrifice, and it will fling truth to the ground. It's like Donald Trump was lying there. All he does is lie. So these are two major characteristics of Donald Trump. He boasts continuously, all right, and he lies. All right, this is how you can easily tell that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. You may say, well, presidents have lied before. Not like Donald Trump. Okay, not like Donald Trump. Donald Trump was known for lying before he even became the president also, you have to understand that. He was known as being one of the biggest liars of all, especially in New York and all over the place. He's known for being a liar, all right? As he became the president, if you actually follow the guy, you see he's always lying. Like we just saw a second ago where he said people are complaining that we didn't release enough files. Nobody was saying that. That's a lie. It is an obvious lie. Do you remember Barack Obama lying that obviously on camera? No. Do you even Bush Jr. or Biden? No, not to that degree. Like if they were to tell a lie, it's something that's kind of slick. It's not where it's just like something that's obviously a lie. And also, they don't lie as frequently as Donald Trump does. Donald Trump beats them and surpasses them to the same degree when it comes to how often he lies, all right, like in succession of his lies. Okay, so his lie rate is extremely high. But right here in verse 12, it says, "On account of transgression, the host will be given over to the horn, along with the regular sacrifice." Okay, and it will fling. That's why I'm saying, "Oh, well, it's talking about a long time ago. It's not talking about now." Yes, it is talking about. So if that's the case, why does it say regular sacrifice? It could be talking about, and I believe it's talking about the church, the churches. Okay, because when we go to church, that still is a type of sacrifice to God. All right, we're offering up our praise in unity. All right, to the Lord. Also, even outside of the church setting, Christians are still, the Bible calls us a living sacrifice unto God. Okay, so just being a believer, we are actually a walking sacrifice to God. Yeah, it's just understanding. Okay, so when it says, "On account of transgression, the host will be given over to the horn, along with the regular sacrifice," I believe that's talking about church services when it says regular sacrifice, because the word regular means to be something that is happening over and over again. Okay, and it will fling truth to the ground, which Trump is doing, and performance will and prosper. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to that particular one who was speaking, "How long will the vision about the regular sacrifice apply, while the transgression causes horror, so as to allow both of the holy place and the host to be trampled?" And he said, "For 2,300 evenings and mornings." Okay, so that's a lot to unpack. All right, but now scrolling down in the same chapter, because in this chapter, which is described to these visions that are shown in this chapter that are described to Daniel, they are one and the same. Just like in the Bible, where we see in the book of Genesis, Joseph describing, I believe, Pharaoh's vision, in his dream, I should say, and he says he has two different dreams, and he said, "Look, these dreams that you have are one and the same." So that's what Joseph had explained to Pharaoh. So in the same way, what Daniel is seeing, he's seeing different visions in the book of Daniel about the Antichrist, and basically they're saying the same thing. Now, this is another in the same chapter, a description of the Antichrist through a shaggy goat and a ram. And it says here at the end of that, it says the shaggy goat represents the kingdom of Greece, and a large horn that is between his eyes is the first king. This is another way you can tell Donald Trump is the Antichrist, because it talks about his origins, okay, and that the country that he's ruling over is from Greece, and America is actually from Greece because our whole government is established from Rome and all kinds of stuff. Okay, the shaggy goat represents the kingdom of Greece, and a large horn is between his eyes is the first king. Okay, and that first king will be Caesar. Okay, the broken horn and the four horns that arose in his place represent four kingdoms which will arise from his nation, although not with his power. Now let's go into, like I said, where it says enough is enough. Okay, look how that's actually alluding to this right here, what I'm about to read here. Okay. In the latter period of their rule, when the transgressors have run their course, a king will arise. All right. So how does that relate? Because it says here, now when you use the word transgressors, I want you to replace that with, if you can in your mind, the word sinners. Okay. And also it says in the latter period of their rule, meaning essentially that in the time period that God's going to allow man to exist in this dispensation of time before the Lord returns, okay, for the 1,000-year reign, as the Bible describes, and then the Lord after that comes and basically puts the devil away for good. All right. It says in the latter period of the rule, meaning at the end of the world, okay, of this time that we're in, before the Lord returns, it says when the transgressors or sinners, okay, have run their course. In other words, God says that enough is enough, which is what that card says. The card shows Donald Trump and it says enough is enough. In other words, this is the end. Enough is enough. All right. A king will arise, insolent and skilled in intrigue. All right. Which is Donald Trump. A king will arise. So look at it. The Bible is telling us specifically, without doubt, at the end of the world, this is what you're going to see. It's not my opinion. This is what the Bible is telling you. Clearly, it's telling us that. In a latter period of their rule, when the transgressors have run their course, a king will arise insolent and skilled in intrigue. That's Donald Trump. Intrigue meaning that you can cause someone to pay attention to you, to be intrigued at what you're doing. Donald Trump is the media mogul man who has had, for example, boxing matches with Mike Tyson, all kind of big boxing stars at his Trump Plaza. And then from there, he had, think about it, Donald Trump in the beginning was not even a media person. Donald Trump was he was a real estate guy. All right, he was a real estate guy. So he was not a person that was supposed to be on TV like that. In the beginning, he was just a real estate guy. All right. He got on TV probably first for him and his father being sued by the United States government. All right. For not renting to black people when they went into black people's when they went into black areas in New York City, evicted black folks, and then will not rent to them after that. And they got sued by the United States of America. That's probably the first time he really got in the news. After that, Donald Trump at times will maybe be in the news for like different things that he may do. But now, and understand, he always wanted to be in the news, okay? But that was not necessarily, he wasn't a TV personality per se, nothing like that. He was just a guy who would maybe have been in the news every now and then. But he was trying to get in. He was trying to be in front of, he was trying to get people's eyes on him. That's why he had those events at he had these big boxing matches at his Trump Plaza, so on and so forth, okay? That's why I'm saying, well, he did it because it's a money move. And you can be right about that, but at the end of the day, it's showing you that he's trying to be seen more, okay? And throughout time, from there, we see that different things in the 90s, and then he was he had that show, The Celebrity Apprentice. All right. And, I'm sorry, The Apprentice, and then The Celebrity Apprentice, so on and so forth. And now the presidency. All right. And even before the presidency, he was doing things to keep people's eyes on him. All right. So when the Bible says skilled in intrigue, if you want to be famous in media, okay, in TV and all kind of stuff, you need to be skilled in intrigue. That's what you actually have to have. You have to have skill when it comes to causing people to be intrigued, or they'll turn off your video. Like people may watch my YouTube video, and say, I want to watch that. I don't think it's not what I want to hear. And then it's turn it off. Okay, a lot of times on YouTube, people will tune off videos in the beginning of the video. All right. Why? Because they don't feel intrigued enough. Donald Trump knows how to keep a person. He has a skill of intrigue you to the degree where you want to stay around the guy. It's not my opinion. It's just a fact. The fact that this guy has lost rape cases, the fact that this guy has had, before he was even the president, he's had hundreds if not thousands of people say, look, this man did not pay me. He literally bankrupted. This is a fact, not making this up at all or exaggerated. He literally has bankrupted whole companies. Okay. Not because a business deal went bad, but because he literally would not pay them for work that they rendered to his casino, so on and so forth. Okay. And literally didn't pay them. One time he had people build he had these like illegal immigrants. He had illegal immigrants, okay, actually help build a Trump Tower in New York City, right? And then when they built the tower, or when it was almost done, you know what he did? He called for them to be basically deported, so he would have to pay them. True story. True story. Just a terrible, terrible person, all right? But he's skilled and intrigued, all right? Then the Bible says his power will be mighty, but not by his own power. Like I said, you always see him with his fingers in an upside down triangle, okay? Enchanting the devil. And he will destroy to an extraordinary degree. So for all you think, oh, Donald Trump is not doing nothing, like people say in his first term, he's not going to do anything. He's just all mouth. He's just a media guy. He ain't really going to do nothing bad. Okay? And I told y'all before, I said, the man wanted to drop a bomb in a hurricane. And people say, oh, well, in the day, it's always what he could have, should have done, this and that, but it never really materializes. Well, now he's the president again. And what has he already done? Well, one thing that he's done is he's kidnapped the president of another nation. All right. And he just became the president again. And already he's been the president for what, a year? And this is what he has already done. All right. He also, in this 1 year, has threatened other nations tremendously with tariffs. All right. He's basically pushed the USA out of every kind of real serious UN alliance. And he started his own thing called the Board of Peace, which really is an alliance where the reason why he started the Board of Peace is because he was to be over something and basically push himself and the U.S. out of the UN completely and all that kind of stuff. That's why he started that thing in the first place, okay? Because the U.S. is over that. He's over that at the end of the day. You understand what I'm saying? That's why he started that. He's basically breaking ties with nations that are not our enemies because he wants to be the world ruler, as his name, Donald, means world ruler. All right? So the Bible says he will destroy to an extraordinary degree. We have not seen all that is to come, but what we have seen is that he already has went to a sovereign nation, grabbed their ruler, accused them of crimes that are of American law, even though, excuse me, this man, the president of Venezuela, was not in the United States of America. I meant to say United States law. I'm not America because they are also in America, but United States law. Okay, he accused them of breaking the United States law, even though they were not in the United States of America, which makes no sense. Okay. And people just say, hey, go ahead and do it, Donald Trump. All right, just grab the guy. So the Bible says he will destroy to an extraordinary degree. That's true. Donald Trump is going to start all kind of wars. And a lot of people, sad to say, are going to lose their life. Innocent people are going to lose their life because of his decisions. All right. And although his shrewdness, I'm sorry, let me read that again. And through his shrewdness, he will cause deceit to succeed by his influence. Can you agree that Donald Trump has caused deceit to succeed? Like how these Epstein files have been covered up? And when the woman asked about the files just there, what did he say? He said a lie. He pushed deceit. He said, well, look, a lot of people are saying that we have availed too much. No one is saying that, Donald Trump. But as it says here, it says, and through his shrewdness, he will cause deceit to succeed by his influence, because his influence is being the president of the United States. That's why. And he will magnify himself in his heart. Or as we saw earlier, even in this video alone, how in his heart, he was magnified to say, well, look, I told y'all all along. And the woman said, why are you boasting so much? And it's at a time like this, that's inappropriate. He said, look, at the end of the day, I'm just saying that's what I did. He will magnify himself in his heart, and he will destroy many while they are at ease. He will even oppose the prince of princes, but he will be broken without human agency. All right, that's my video today, y'all. I hope that I've given you guys some more knowledge about who this demonic evil man is. Y'all may say, well, you've always been up with Donald Trump. No, I'm telling you who he is, because he's aligned with Satan. And the Bible does not say we should have any love or pity for the devil. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I talk about Donald Trump on this channel the way that I do. All right, because this man is the Antichrist, and he represents Satan himself. Okay, he's not your buddy. He's not your friend. All right. As we've seen in these Epstein files, Donald Trump has raped young teenagers. Okay. Probably children. In my opinion, it's probably the next thing they're going to find are babies, all kinds of, I'm sure we'll find all kinds of that he's done. All right. They said that he literally was putting his hand inside of young. I know that's nasty to say, but just with the file. I'm not making it up. That's what the file say. He was sticking his hand, his finger inside of the privates of those at such a young age to judge them. All right, as if they were part of his what? Well, his pageants, the same pageants that Donald Trump said he loves having because he can go there and look at these young women. And when they say, "Why are you getting undressed?" He said, "I look at all these." And he said, "I look at all these beautiful women, as they're half dressed." And if anyone says anything, I'm gonna say, "Look, well, in the day, I'm inspecting the place because I own it, so I'm just inspecting the place." That's what he said on Howard Stern. All of these things, when you look at them, they all are a finger pointing to one man, not Barack Obama, not George W. Bush, all right, not Bill Clinton, but Donald Trump.